I'd like to call this regularly scheduled meeting of Bridgewater Town Council to order. Council has the agendas been circulated. Are there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, we'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as circulated.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Thorburn, seconded by Councilor Mailman. All those in favor signify in the appropriate manner. Opposed? Motion is carried. Just before we get to some announcements, obviously everyone was shocked with the events that occurred in Moncton in the past week, and certainly I did express to Mayor LeBlanc and the residents, on behalf of our residents and council, our shock, and certainly indicated to him that each in our own way would be thinking of our colleagues in Moncton, the residents there, and the RCMP officers who lost their lives and their families. I would, at this time, ask that we observe a minute's silence in memory of the officers who have passed away. Thank you very much. And I would also draw to everyone's attention that there will be a live feed of the memorial service tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the Lunenburg County Lifestyle Center. So if there's anyone that is interested, I'm sure that will be picked up by media as well. They're certainly welcome to join in and be part of that live broadcast. Some additional announcements. My chair, a couple of generic ones. Volume 1, Issue 2 of the bridge is now out and about. So it should be delivered to your house. It should be available. I'm not sure if it's available yet on our website, but should be. That provides our residents with some more information about the challenges that council faces, and there's a special insert there on the review of council size and what's happening, and some other items that I think you'd be interested in as well. Would also draw to everyone's attention that yesterday, which would be June the 4th, because I got this on June the 5th, we planted an incredible edible Bridgewater garden at Town Hall. This initiative is in place to enable workplaces, schools, and neighborhoods to plant edible landscaping in Bridgewater. Incredible edible Bridgewater gardens are cultivated by volunteers at each location and harvested by all citizens. Staff are warmly encouraged to water and tend the garden, as well as enjoy the rewards from it. There is now a watering can in the staff room for this purpose, and I have some pictures of some rather energetic gardeners who took part in the first one. And certainly we want to thank the Bridgewater Community Garden Network volunteers for helping to get the garden started. And if you have any questions about Town Hall's incredible edible Bridgewater garden, please do not hesitate to ask. And the person who would love to hear from you would be Leon DeVried, our Sustainability Coordinator. On May the 28th, I was delighted to join with the residents and staff at Empire House, celebrating 12 years of service to youth. It was a bittersweet gathering, because we know that the funding for that type of operation is ending at the end of June, and I guess there's still some or a lack of full understanding about what's going to happen after June 30th and how those individuals in our community will be looked after. So I guess we're hoping that the provincial government and perhaps our local minister will have a statement to make on the future of Empire Host as it pertains to the individuals and the students that were there. And on May 28th, a number of us were at the Best Western Plus, I think for the inaugural event in our area of SIP, Chat, Connect, which is connecting the dots, building businesses, bridging businesses, communities, and regions. And it's I think it's a maritime initiative that tends to have businesses sort of get together and just say what it says. Have a cup of coffee, have a chit chat, and connect with one another and see how you can benefit from one another. And there'll be some more of those events coming. We'll make sure we circulate that information to council. On Friday, May 30th, CIBC Bridgewater celebrated their 125th anniversary. Since the Deputy Mayor and I were at the FCM during that time, I went over a little bit earlier and presented them with a certificate congratulating them on their anniversary and their presence in Bridgewater and the banking community. On Wednesday, May the 4th, I was very pleased to attend the Community Transit Nova Scotia's annual conference, building a foundation for a provincial transportation strategy. The morning session was their annual general business meeting and panel. Ron Coleman from GPI Atlantic talked about economic development as it pertains to community transit. Dr. Robert Strang, the Chief Public Health Officer for the Nova Scotia Government, spoke on the health benefits to a public transportation system. Sarah Hahn and Brittany Mailman from the Schools Plus from Caledonia talked about youth and education and the importance of public transportation from their perspective. Amy Schwartz, the Active Transportation Coordinator for Nova Scotia Health and Wellness, talked about active transportation and its importance. And Kim Acker, the Executive Director of the West Hants Dial-A-Ride and President of the Rural Transportation Association, talked about rural transportation services. In the afternoon, Community Transit Nova Scotia tabled their position paper, which was developed from a series of community roundtables held in May. And there was a good discussion after that. There was a trade show. So it was a lot of good exchange of information. There were those who were championing certain types of transit, but I'll circulate some more information that I brought back from that as well. And that evening, June 4th, Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the Bridgewater Junior Senior High School was the Bridgewater Family of Schools Community Consultation. I guess to be safe to saying, Councillor Tanner and Graves, that it was not a jammed house, which is unfortunate. It was an opportunity for the community to talk about Bridgewater Elementary School and Bridgewater High School and what we liked, what we didn't like, what they need to do, what they don't need to do, what the future holds. It was a good discussion. I think one interesting thing that was very clear from the presentation from the school board personnel was if you look at the graphs of the enrollments in the schools and that are administered under jurisdiction of South Shore Regional School Board, they all show a decline in enrollment and a rather steady decline, and that's every school with the exception of two, Bridgewater Elementary School, Bridgewater Junior Senior High School. They have seen little ups and little downs, but generally speaking, when you look at their graph, it's a steady graph with very little change. So that's certainly encouraging for our community. And they plan on coming back to the community in the future with more of these sessions as well. So it was a good session. I would encourage residents, if you hear of others, to try and take advantage of those as well. And on June the 5th at lunchtime, it was O2 Day in the province, which is Options and Opportunities, a program in our high schools. And the Options and Opportunities program at Bridgewater High School has really taken on the backyard classroom project If you haven't had an opportunity to drop by, drop by. It's not a finished project yet, but there's certainly a great deal of work that has been done. It was a great and is a great partnership between the airfield flight engineers and the students in the O2 program. It's rather interesting standing there and listening to the students ask Jane Berrigan, the teacher, can we stay and work some more? Can I come out at lunchtime and work? It was really, they were taking some pride in their contribution to the project, and I was delighted on behalf of council to provide the grant that had been approved during our budget of $2,500 towards that project. On June the 5th, that afternoon, very pleased to join our police board and Chair Pat Capello, who is here, and Chief Collier, who's here as well, as 5 new auxiliary cadets were welcomed to the Bridgewater Police family. It was an exciting day, I think, for the cadets and for their families that were there, and certainly they didn't get a gun, they didn't get a taser, they got a key. And I think there were some complaints from the police board. We don't even have a key. But anyway, it was a great day, and we look forward to seeing those auxiliary cadets around town, I guess starting almost immediately. On June 7th, I was delighted to join our Minister of Municipal Affairs, the Honourable Mark Fury, at Branch 24, the Royal Canadian Legion. It was the launch of a book called Kit Bag, which was compiled by Reverend Ron Mosley. He did a number of interviews when he was the Public Relations Chair at Branch 24, interviewed veterans, and they told his story. He used high tech in those days. He had a tape recorder, taped everything, and then started to realize that maybe the tape recorder would get lost, there'd be no record. So it was all transferred into a book called Kit Bag. A number of the families were there representing those who he had interviewed. I think there's only 1 or 2 who are still alive, one being Comrade Pierre Alain, who was part of the French resistance during the Second World War. It was a great event, certainly I think a partnership that was very nice to see, that the Halifax Chronicle Herald have partnered with the Mr. Mosley in the sales of the book, plus a generous donation from the Chronicle Herald, have established the Chronicle Herald Ron Mosley scholarship of $2,500 starting next June for a Lunenburg County student entering the field of journalism. So I know Ron was very much touched by that gesture, and certainly a student in Lunenburg County will benefit from it. It was nice to see that happen as well. I was not able to participate in the probably race of the century, but I know we did have some councillors who were able to take part in that, and maybe some of them would like to make a comment or two on that dory race.
Sure. Yeah.
Councillor Graves.
I certainly have a couple of announcements. On Saturday, May 31st, I volunteered at the Bridgewater Elementary School Fun Day, and I can certainly tell you why they call it fun, because it was a hoot. On Sunday, June 1st, I brought greetings on behalf of Town Council at the opening of the First Families exhibit at Desbrizet Museum. This is a summer-long exhibit that recognizes the important contributions that our First Families made to this great community. The families being recognized are the Craggs, Davisons, Dawsons and Ernst, Glows, Gows, Hebbs, Labrador, Miller, Weil, Vino, Wades, Whitman, and Waterman. So if you have time, I would strongly suggest that you take the time and go and see the exhibit. They did a really, really good job. On Thursday, June 5th, United Way Bikes for Kids had their annual event, second annual event at Center Court Bridgewater Mall. This is all donated space. 61 bikes were given away. 35 bikes were given to girls. 26 bikes were given to boys. If you were between 2 to 6, ages 2 to 6, 14 bikes were given away. 7 to 10, 17 bikes. 11 to 15, 16 bikes. 16 to 27 bikes. And 7 adults were given bikes as well, so they could cycle with their kids. So that was really, really good. And to Mayor Walker's point, on Saturday, June 7th, we did participate in the first annual Inter-Dory race in Lunenburg, and With great fear, Councillor Wayne Thorbert and I entered the massive dory, at first facing one another, until we adjusted ourselves, allowing to have all our oars pulling in the same direction. Muscles tensed, teeth clenched, we waited the sound of the starting gun. Boom went the gun, and off we rowed, making many short strokes at first. To gain speed, then we increased our rowing slide with strong, capable straws. Stroke, stroke, said Wayne. Fighting a strong headwind and an even stronger town of Lunenburg team, we trudged ever forward. We rounded the far buoy with pinpoint precision, headed to the finish line. The sound of 30 or more voices, with Mayor Bailey's vuvuzela thundering in the wind. Go Bridgewater, they yelled. Go Bridgewater. With the wind at our back, we were pushed across the finish line, extremely proud of our very respectable second place finish. Don't ask how many votes.
We did that. Is there any other announcements? Councilor
There
Thorburn.
were actually 3 boats in our heat. We did beat Mahone Bay. Yeah. So actually, on May the 31st, I represented the town at the 2688 Bridgewater Kinsman Army Cadet annual ceremony review at Airfield Engineering. On the Harold Walnut Road, there were 42 cadets on inspection, and the highlight event was a marching drill performed by a group of 14 cadets. On June the 1st, I represented the town at the number 62 Niobe Royal Canadian Sea Corps at the Bridgewater Memorial Arena. There was 23 cadets on inspection. Various training displays were set up by the cadets, and a special rifle drill was performed by the cadets, which thrilled the audience. On June the 6th, I attended the Legion service at the Cenotaph, commemorating 70 years since the Allied forces landed on the Normandy beach on June the 6th, 1944, a day when the largest armada of 130,000 Allied troops, including 14,000 Canadians, stormed the 90 kilometers of Normandy beaches. The Canadian troops landed on a beach codenamed Juno, and 359 Canadians died during the initial landing. The troops did not know this event was the beginning of the end of the Hitler and his Nazi forces. Comrade Ron Mosley, assisted by Legion President Wayne Hunt, laid a wreath at 1100 hours to mark the milestone. Comrades Frank Hammond and Ralph Hebb was at the Normandy beach on June the 6th to take part in the 70th anniversary of the Allied invasion of the Nazi-occupied France.
And certainly, I think Frank Hammond and Ralph had received their fair share of national coverage, which was certainly nice to see.
The beauty part was I went over to the ceremony and I come home and watched those guys in Normandy. So anyway, it was certainly an honor to do that for you, Mayor.
Councilor Tanner.
On Friday, June 6th, I brought greetings and welcome on behalf of the Mayor, Council, and residents of Bridgewater to the 2014 Senior Boys Provincial Softball Tournament hosted by BHS. I encourage them to utilize our restaurants and amenities in Bridgewater and to tell their parents to bring them back sometime later in the summer. So hopefully we'll see some return on that. On Saturday, June 7th, I participated in the dory race with Councillor McDonald. It wasn't quite as dramatic as Councillor Graves, but Councillor McDonald and I were voted most likely to improve in 2015.
You drew the short straw.
And today, just a quick plug, Lunenburg County submitted a bid to Music Nova Scotia to host Music Week, Nova Scotia Music Week 2016 or 2017. And I'd like to publicly thank Hilda McDonald and Vicki Hines from Lighthouse Publishing for pulling that all together. It's a beautiful bid package, and be happy to circulate it as well. So,
Excellent. Any other announcements? Councilor Malin.
On June the 6th, I participated in the Relay for Life. This is the 11th time I've participated, and I brought back my toonie for the tea, and I'm proud to say that I raised $1,000 for cancer.
Any other announcements? Deputy Mayor McGinnis did stand in for me on the Relay for Life because I didn't think I'd be back in town. Did get there, but I still didn't let him off the hook. So, and I do want to mention to council. You know, I think one thing I'm proud of is that if there's events that we've been requested to attend and I'm not able to attend, it's not a question of, gee, I got to twist arms to get one person to go. It's usually 4 people respond and one to go and try and work things around. So I do appreciate council support there. I think it does mean something to the organizations to have council represented to show that we're supporting those organizations and supporting the work they're doing in our community. Item number 4 is our delegations, and the first delegation, 6:20, I think we're 1 minute behind, my fault. Ida Scott and Rob Keevil from the Bridgewater Marina Association on the Marina Progress Report.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilors, for allowing us time on your agenda. This is a good news story, and we want to just tell you about it. I will start with reviewing some of the history of how the marina came to be, and then Rob Keevil, who chairs the Bridgewater Marina Association, will take us into today and what we have. And the Riverfront Renaissance Action Team, which is an action team of the Bridgewater Development Association, proposed building a marina in its 2007 concept plan. And I'm pleased to say that the Bridgewater Marina is open for the 2014 season. This is our second season open. And we're going to just walk you through about how it came to be. We had a site selection subcommittee from the Riverfront Renaissance Action Team that identified 5 different sites and identified the Port of Bridgewater as the best site. This was done in 2011, and it had deep water. The port had water rights. It was across from the boat launch at Shipyards Landing, and there was a willingness by the port to lease for the purpose of a marina. In April 2011, the Bridgewater Marina Association was registered as a nonprofit society, and in 2012, the Marina Association commissioned a Marina Economic Feasibility Study, which was something was identified by potential funding partners that would be needed. In June of 2012, the Marina Association issued a request for a proposal seeking a company to design, build, and install the marina docks. And in March 2013, the Bridgewater Marina Association entered into an agreement with Bear River Plastic Welding to design, build, and install the marina docks. So the marina was designed to have 30 slips available for lease to boaters and 2 slips that were available at no charge for use by small boats such as canoes and kayaks. And we did lease 8 slips last season. The marina opened in June 2013. And we also had the public slips available with a separate gangway entrance. And we also, during the 2013 season, had some 60 overnight leases. So our board of directors, Rob Keevil, the chairperson, he was also chair of Riverfront Renaissance Action Team, has kept us on course through this whole process, and you can just see the names of people there. The town has always been very supportive. You can see Eric Shaw has been a great resource person for us, and Graham Hopkins has been a real blessing and saving grace with his advice and his help. And someone said the other day we should give him flowers. I don't know if he'd appreciate that, but maybe a pat on the back. But he's certainly been very helpful to us. And I thought I had forgotten this, but our funding partners, certainly the town of Bridgewater, were first on board, and that gave leverage to look for funding from other partners. Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency has been just terrific with us, Nova Scotia Department of Health and Wellness, and that's part of how we end up with public slips for free of charge for the small boats. Nova Scotia Economic and Rural Development and Tourism, Michelin North America Canada Incorporated, our local plant, and the Bridgewater Development Association, the municipality of the District of Lunenburg, and then we also had slip leases during 2013 and now 2014 to give us some revenue. And we had in-kind partners with the Port of Bridgewater has been very generous to us in advisory capacity, but also in a very attractive 20-year lease. And Blue Nose Coastal Action Foundation have provided us good guidance on the design and landscaping and linking the marina to Mariners Landing. And then the dock design and build, Bear River Plastic Welding has been very open and kind with helping us make things work in getting the docks in place. And I'll turn you over to Rob Keeble.
Good evening, everyone. This picture was taken last year, as you can see. It's looking north up the LaHave River. More pictures. Here's a picture taken from Mariners Landing. So you can see it's kind of when we first started this back in 2007, we saw this marina as an extension of Mariners Landing, not just as a standalone operation. And as you can see, it flows quite beautifully into the marina. In 2013, we had a design produced for our office and washrooms, clubhouse, and by 2014, there it is. The interior of the boathouse. Here's a site layout. And to be, this is what we proposed about 3 years ago, and it basically does look exactly like that. You can see LaHave River on the top, LaHave Street on the top right. The clubhouse is where we proposed it. You can see there's walking trails which go from Mariners Landing into the marina site. The parking lot is there. Our terms and references of the Marina Association: to construct and operate a municipal marina as an extension to Mariners Landing Park, and to assist in the town of Bridgewater to improve Mariners Landing Park. So, as I had mentioned, there are 30 slips available, 2 slips for small boats. Rates available for by the week, by the year, by the weekend, and overnight. We have an outdoor fireplace that has been built and is on site. Social area connected to the trail of Mariners Landing. And here's our rates that we have. This sign is located on site. These prices are in comparison with Lunenburg, Mahone Bay, and other marinas throughout Nova Scotia. As you can see, the slips, we provide water on the docks, electricity on the docks, and a sewage pump out. And if anyone's interested in leasing, you can give Ida or Pam a call. We have an official opening, and all our funding partners are invited, so obviously anyone in this room right now, we'd love to have you come out. July 17th, 4:30 p.m. will be a barbecue, and beverages provided. Everyone is welcome. We're working on generating some more revenue through advertising on site. And it seems like we're not near the end, but we are getting to the end of this project. There is still plenty of work that needs to be done. It's kind of like building a house where once the walls are up, you're not quite finished. There's still lots of work to be done. And as chairman of the Marina Association, we do want to thank the town of Bridgewater for providing us with the guidance and with the funding to get this marina in operation for the 2013 and now for the 2014 season. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor McDonald.
What was the date of the opening again?
July 17th at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Any other questions to Councilor Thorburn?
I see you're putting canoes and kayaks here free.
No, that's for people to bring the canoes and kayaks instead of, because it'll be public space is what that's for.
Okay, can we park the dory that Michael and I are going to purchase here?
That's an excellent idea. And if you could sign the dory, that'd make it more valuable.
There you go. No, I really commend you, and having that there certainly adds beauty to the town. Thank you very much. Great job.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, I agree. I want to thank the committee. I think it becomes another asset for the community that will grow each year. I was amazed. I had the opportunity last year to be down there in the summer when there were some visitors, and certainly they spoke highly of it. I did get the opportunity to work the boat show this year. Not sure why. I get seasick, but I worked it anyway, and the people dropping by and looking at the promotional material certainly was very, very encouraging. So kudos, and we look forward to bright sunshine on the 17th and the water full of boats.
Excellent.
Thanks very much. And we're ahead, but that's all right. Daryl Watson from the Reliable Cab. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilors. As we know, I appeared here about a month and a half ago, pertaining to damages to my vehicles, and the mayor assured me that the matter would be looked into and I would be contacted. Okay. Well, I received 3 correspondence. One was from your town accountant, Kevin Keddy. Okay. If I can take a minute just to read this. Further to our conversation earlier today, I'm following up with this letter to see if we might be able to clarify some of your concerns over the streets in the town of Bridgewater. As part of our claims process, we would require the dates, times, and locations of the incidences. And at that time, when I presented it to council, we didn't have dates and times. Unbeknownst to me that my partner in business, my wife, did have them, okay? So I'll continue on. Currently, all that I was provided were some maintenance bills, which includes items such as tires, batteries, and oil changes. Well, obviously, I wasn't before a counselor, or at the time didn't know your policies. I wasn't before a council to say, okay, you're going to pay for my oil changes and my tires. I'm not a stupid individual. That's just normal wear and tear. What I was asking for was the town to take responsibilities for damage to the front ends of my cars due to the roads. Okay? I'll continue on. In order for me to forward this to the independent appraiser, we would need to be able to confirm the location, dates and times, and a list of costs as they relate to the alleged hazard. Well, secondly, I just didn't drive down the streets of Bridgewater, decide to pull my car over, call a tow truck, and get $600 worth of work done to it. So it's not alleged. Okay? Then I received another letter from Marsh Adjustment, which I'm assuming is the town insurance company. And this is from a fellow Graham Campbell, branch manager. Okay, and he says, we've been asked by the town of Bridgewater to investigate allegations you have made pertaining to damages to your fleet of vehicles. Your submission as of April 21st, 2014 has been provided to me for review. I have provided the dates to Public Works and have requested they provide me with the history on any reports that they have of incidences based on your submission. Okay, first of all, I don't know if I was the only one that went to the town and said, hey, I want you to pay for my damages due to negligence. That's what he was referring to here. Okay, so whether somebody else reported is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. Once I have information from the Public Works, I will be in further contact. This letter is to advise you that without prejudice, investigation is being carried out, and after the facts have been obtained and reviewed by the town of Bridgewater, either myself or their legal representative will be in direct contact with you to discuss this matter. Then, on May 29th, I received this from the Marsh Adjustment. As outlined in our discussion May 29th, 2014, we are the insurance adjusters investigating the above noted incident on behalf of the town of Bridgewater. Your submission as of April 21st, 2014 was acknowledged, which it was April 28th in previous correspondence to you. The town of Bridgewater Public Works records, here's what I have a problem with. The town of Bridgewater Public Works records had been reviewed, and there is no evidence to support any negligence against the town of Bridgewater for your incidents as claimed in your April 21st correspondence. As outlined verbally by phone, this matter is formally denied for any and all claims you intend to present against the town of Bridgewater regarding this matter. Okay, my issue is that I did, first of all, let's make something clear, is that I didn't come to the town of Bridgewater or to say, you know, here's a $7,000 bill, pay it, I'm gonna put it in my pocket and go buy pizza and beer. That was not my intentions, because the news people from CKBW and a few people that know, I had full intentions, any money I got, okay, which was not the issue to begin with, and I stated that very clearly. Any compensation I got for the damage to my cars, I was gonna donate to Big Brothers Big Sisters. First of all, okay, so I'm not in this for the money. Secondly, what I have a problem with is that the Public Works records have been reviewed and there's no evidence. Well, 3 or 4 weeks before that, I had a conversation with Mr. Feener. Is he here? Yeah, you and I had a conversation on the phone about an incident I had on Jubilee Road. And I told you that it took the front end of my car and it cost me $500 to have it fixed, okay? And you assured me that you would look into it. You recall the conversation, sir?
Yeah.
You do, okay. And then 4 weeks later, I take out another front end of my car. So how can the town of Bridgewater records be reviewed and there's no evidence? That's my question.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Did I lose you?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Feener and I had a conversation about, this is just one spot in Bridgewater that took out the front end of one of my cars. I had to have it towed. I had $400 or $500 worth. I don't know the exact amount. It's in the records, okay? I had to have my car repaired because it blew the struts out. It literally broke the struts on my car, okay? And I called Mr. Feener, and at that time, I wasn't looking for compensation at all, okay? I was just a little ticked that this spot existed for weeks, okay? Wasn't marked, wasn't addressed, okay? I get Mr. Feener on the phone. He assures me that it's going to be addressed. 4 weeks later, another one of my drivers takes out the front of another one of my cars, which is in the written papers that I submitted to the town. So my issue is, how can the Public Works say they have no records of incidences when they existed? Mr. Feener and I talked about it on the phone. You had one of your counselors, just one incident, one of your counselors stand up and agree with me just on one spot. Okay, I'm not talking all, just the one spot that was neglected that caused damage to my car. So where are these records that they have that say that none of this happened to my vehicles? This is the problem I'm having.
I don't think they're saying that nothing happened to your vehicles necessarily. They're saying there was no negligence on behalf of the town. That's the adjuster's ruling.
Okay, well, according to the adjuster, he's basing his ruling, okay, on what the Public Works Department is telling him. Okay, according to this, the Public Works Department, I'll read it again, Public Works records have been reviewed and there is no evidence. How can there be no evidence when Mr. Feener and I had a conversation about it? I just don't get it.
No evidence of negligence.
Yeah. I take out the front end of one of my cars. I call your engineer, report it. Get him on the phone personally, report it. I was not looking at that time for compensation because I know in the wintertime, things happen to roads, okay? We have to accept that as drivers. We have to accept that, okay? But when I have an engineer on the phone, he assures me that they're going to address the situation, this particular spot up in Jubilee, and then for 4 weeks, there's not even a bump ahead sign. There's nothing to mark this dangerous spot. And another one of my drivers, at night, in the dark, in the rain, hit it, and it cost me another $700 on another car that was just inspected by the DOT 2 weeks prior to that, and took out the whole front end of my car. I had to take that car off the road. So, how can the Public Works Department say the records are being reviewed and there's no evidence to support any of my allegations? I just don't get it. So I would like some answers.
I certainly can't provide the answer because the adjusters have
Again, sir,
investigated.
with all due respect, again, the adjuster is basing his decision on what he's been told by the town. It's that simple. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm just a lazy old fat cab driver. But I'm telling you now, anybody can make sense of this. If the town tells him that nothing is wrong, when I know that I had the engineer on the phone and him and I talked about this, and then the town tells the adjuster that there is no basis for it, there is no evidence? Isn't there something wrong with that, isn't there something wrong with that picture?
I don't know what I'd have to, well, I'm certainly not going to tell you anything tonight. If you want, you're
No,
presenting.
no,
you're
what,
presenting some
I don't want
information.
answers tonight, okay? I'm not here to look for answers, and again, and I've told everybody, I'm not in this for money. My bills are paid, I'm not worried about that. What I want the town of Bridgewater to do is to say, you know what, we screwed up, we'll pay him for it. Again, now it is about the money. The last time I was here, it wasn't. Now it is, okay? So any compensation I get for the damages of my cars is not going in my pocket. I'll donate it to whoever. I really don't care. It's not about the money, sir. It's the fact that I've addressed the problem. I expected something to be done when I approached the town of Bridgewater, and then the town of Bridgewater turns around and says, no, that didn't happen. That's an insult. It's an insult to me. It's an insult to every taxpayer out there. You know, you cannot drive 200 feet in this town without hitting patchwork. But yet we have an LCLC center nobody can find, a pool we couldn't swim in for 5 months, a fountain that only works 60% of the time, and a park nobody goes to. Fix our roads. It's that simple. I can't afford to stay in business with this. I can't. That spot right on the bottom of Aberdeen is still not addressed. It is still not. We can get in a car now and go over there. It is still not addressed. But yet I can sit and watch 4 guys and a backhoe cut a tree down. What are we getting for our tax dollars here? I'm done.
Okay. Appreciate that, and certainly will, once again, I can follow up on a couple of points you've made there with.
And then you'll be in touch. You'll be in touch with the
I will be in
adjuster.
touch. I will be in touch with you.
Somebody will be in touch with the adjuster to straighten them out on facts, because obviously the adjuster's been misled.
But I will get back to you.
Thank you, sir.
Were there any questions? I didn't want to. Okay.
Yeah, could I ask a question?
Yep. Let me get a note to
Could
myself.
I just come down for a second? You say on the first instance you had your car towed right in there?
Right there, I could. It wasn't drivable.
Right at that moment? The
Right at
moment
that
you hit-
spot.
Okay. And there's records of that, obviously.
Oh, town's in possession of the record.
It was there, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. I just got to make this note to myself, or I may forget. Don't know what I'm asking. Yeah. Minutes. We have minutes of March the 24th, April the 14th, a special council meeting of April the 22nd, and the budget meeting of April the 28th. You have, I guess, 2 ways of doing it. We could have a motion to approve minutes and reference each date, or you can do them individually, whichever you would prefer.
I move that Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater approve and confirm the minutes of the March 24th, April 14th, and April 28th, 2014 regular Town Council meetings, and the minutes of the April 22nd, 2014 special Town Council meeting as circulated.
Do we have a seconder? Second by Councilor McDonald. Are any questions on the minutes? Ready for the question? All those in favor signify in the appropriate manner. Opposed? Motion is carried. Boundary reviews at 7, so go on to planning item 7.1, Community Energy Programs presentation. Welcome, Leon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to load my presentation. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I am reporting back on a topic that was brought up a few meetings ago, community energy retrofit programs. preliminary information and discussion, and I do just want to make that point clear. This is early information for council's consideration, giving you an update on where staff are at with reviewing a new possible program for the town. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is where this presentation came from. I'm going to explain what is meant by community energy retrofit programs. I'm going to provide you with a series of case studies from around Nova Scotia for similar programs. I'm going to indicate to you what some areas are that are recommended for further investigation. As I said, this is a preliminary, these are preliminary findings, and then a set of recommendations and next steps for the remainder of the year. So where did this presentation come from? Energy was selected as a focus for fiscal year 2014-2015, both in the capital, town's capital items as well as the staff work plan. This came both from recommendations from the Integrated Community Sustainability Plan and the Municipal Climate Change Action Plan, and a survey that was done with members of councils as well as community members. The idea was to explore options for innovative projects that improve energy performance of the community, whether for homeowners, businesses, or even entire neighborhoods, to generate more renewable energy within the community. And based on that, staff made a recommendation to investigate this idea of community energy retrofits, the development of a municipal program for retrofitting homes or apartments with better energy technology such as insulation, solar, and geothermal energy systems. So that's what I'm reporting on tonight. You will recall that this is one of 4 programs that we are exploring this year. One of them, Partners for Climate Protection, is a presentation that I did at last council session and which council has approved. So this is now the second of 4. I'm going to bring you back to one of the other origins of this report, which is that last year, around this time, you received a proposal from a local firm, the Notting Group, on May 27, 2013, who proposed a solar domestic hot water pilot, similar to a program that has been running in Halifax for the last year or two called Solar City. The idea is to install 1 or 2 panel solar hot water systems on local homes. A total of 10 to 25 was what they suggested in their proposal, at a cost of $6,500 to $7,500 per system. Approximately, there may be rebates involved and so on, but that's the approximate cost, which would then result, because we have solar heat energy coming into the home through the solar panels, savings for the homeowner. What makes the proposal interesting, and what makes the Solar City program in Halifax interesting, is that it would be municipally financed through what's called a PACE program, and I'll explain that in detail in just a moment. They also, for your information, made a similar proposal to the District of Lunenburg, and to my knowledge, the District of Lunenburg is looking into this kind of program as well. Council referred the matter to staff for investigation, and this is the first report that you are receiving on the matter. So what I'd like to take a moment to explain is this PACE concept. So PACE stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy. And the idea is that it's actually the municipality that spends the money on the energy improvements on the property owner's behalf. It's not specific whether it's a residence necessarily or a commercial property. The idea is simply that the town helps pay for the improvements, which have to have a real energy benefit. And then the key is that the municipality places a first lien on the property, which is then paid back through taxation of that property before mortgage. So this is the financial mechanism through which PACE runs. Now, the lien is then paid back over a period of years through tax bills. It's up to the town to set the rate, if there's an interest rate, the number of years, etc. And the best approach that we've seen through looking at international and national work on PACE programs is that the best approach is for the municipality to price those repayments at a rate where the repayment is less than the energy saved. So the homeowner actually sees an immediate financial benefit by having the energy measure installed. The municipality is permitted to charge interest, which can actually help cover program costs. In fact, most of these PACE programs are set up to be 100% cost recoverable with addition. What's interesting about PACE and what makes it unique and different from a regular loan to the homeowner is that the amount outstanding is actually tied to the property rather than to the homeowner, rather than to the property owner. The benefit of this is that if you're not sure when you're going to sell your property, you will receive a benefit that's immediate, and the next owner of the property will continue paying off that investment without you having to have paid off that entire investment because it's tied to your name. So there's a benefit regardless of whether or not the homeowner sells the property. This makes it attractive to certain groups of people. The property owner, just as an aside, may be granted the ability to pay off the lien as a lump sum, and what we've seen from the HRM Solar City program is that about 10% of homeowners who take part in the program use this option. Okay, what's important for Council to know is that this has been legally enabled through the Municipal Government Act since 2012. So HRM started doing it through the Halifax Charter. All other municipalities in Nova Scotia then were allowed to do it starting in 2012. And this program, as you will see in my presentation, is actively being pursued by other municipalities. Okay, so that's a PACE program. I'm just going to zoom out now and give you a little bit more information on, why would a municipality think about doing this, and maybe in the big picture, what are some other things municipalities could consider instead of PACE, though PACE will be the mainstay of my presentation. So why would a municipality do this kind of work in the community? Well, energy is a major component of sustainability efforts. It's the first topic area in our ICSP and remains a major part of any sustainability work that we would do. We see that across the spectrum of other municipalities too. There is a desire to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to address climate change. Our ICSP says that, our climate change plan says that, and now that we're enrolled in the Partners for Climate Protection program, there is an incentive also to help reduce community greenhouse gas emissions. Municipalities may be responding to challenges in energy prices, rising costs, etc., in addition to the climate change question. And on the social front, there is a genuine concern about the concept, the idea of energy poverty in the community, where households are not actually able to pay their heating bills. We do hear a lot from local church groups and so on that are trying to provide money, emergency funds for people to help pay their heating bills. There is a significant, energy poverty is a significant reality in Nova Scotia, especially for populations that may be living on the edge of being able to meet their needs. For example, seniors with fixed income and low-income families. In addition, another factor that municipalities may consider is if they feel that their housing stock may not be of a high quality and that they may want to see an overall improvement in the quality of their housing stock. There may be, for example, there may be health problems due to indoor air quality issues, outdated materials and energy systems, and not keeping up with building codes. So these are the kinds of issues that municipalities may be responding to when they look at doing an energy program in the community. As a benefit, municipalities have been able to document to some extent the opportunity for new economic development opportunities within the community by investing in green technology, for example. Municipal energy programs are not new. A brief search of the web provides all kinds of municipally based energy programs or programs run by associations or groups of municipalities, both in the US and in Canada, and I will speak to a few of these tonight, which is what I'm going to do right now. So where have we seen these kinds of programs in Nova Scotia? And again, I'm going to focus mainly on PACE, although I'll mention a few other examples too. So the big one that's in the news a lot today is the Solar City program in HRM. Now, of course, HRM is not entirely comparable to Bridgewater because they have a much larger population and greater capacity and so on. But the specific energy technology that's been chosen for that program is solar thermal for domestic hot water. So those are 1 to 2 panel systems that are being installed around the municipality. It is a PACE program. The program is fully administered and financed by HRM. The HRM completed 250 installations in the past year and has a program goal of 1,000 homes. What you will find interesting is that the program was so incredibly oversubscribed to by homeowners that they had to delay starting the program by more than 6 months in order to deal with the applications. So the program is incredibly popular, and based on my research, I've found that the program is quite successful and is well regarded, and is even known Canada-wide now for its success. The program cost is about $8.3 million. Now, of course, that's a lot. That equals about $8,300 per home. That cost is fully recovered, however, at a 3.5% interest rate. And in order to help with the financing, grant money plus a low-interest loan from the FCM Green Municipal Fund was achieved by HRM to help start the program. There is more information on all these programs. So that's the big one. That's Solar City. Now let's look at where PACE programs are actively being explored in other municipalities. Richmond County, Cape Breton, population 9,000 and a bit, is thinking of starting a PACE program based on energy efficiency rather than solar technology. Heating systems, ventilation, and building envelope. So the idea is to improve the structure of the home, the structures that keep heat in the home and that basically provide energy for the home. And this is very interesting because it's going to be a joint municipal provincial test program in partnership with Efficiency Nova Scotia. The program goal is to do 50 homes between the months of September and December of this year at a cost of about $10,000 per home. That cost is also intended to be fully recovered. And what I've learned is that the province is seeing this as a test program. If the test goes well, they will consider doing a broader pilot with more municipalities next year. So this is actively being pursued both by municipality and by the provincial powers that be. Here's another program. Digby County is looking at electric thermal storage, or ETS units, and possibly heat pumps, again through a PACE program fully administered and financed by the municipality. They're looking at hopefully 50 to 75 in the first year. I don't have detailed information on program costs for that one, but that's just another example of a municipality doing this. What's interesting about Digby County is that energy is the main platform of their community economic development plan. So this is tied entirely to economic development for the county. It's just one of several initiatives that they have on the go. Town of Berwick, a very small community, 2,400 people and a bit. Is looking at doing heat pumps and building envelope or efficiency measures combined. Again, PACE program, same kind of deal. What's interesting about the town of Berwick, of course, is that they own their own local electric utility. So there is added incentive for a town like Berwick to do this work because they save on multiple fronts. Starting summer of 2014 and basically ongoing, and they'll do as many as they can, is essentially how the program is going to run. At a cost of $7,000 to $10,000 per home. So what are we seeing with PACE programs? We're seeing the Department of Energy expressing a significant interest in it. As I said, running a test program with Richmond County and then potentially opening that up to other municipalities in 2015. In a conversation with one of the coordinators there, I did indicate that they should give us a call if they are extending an offer to other communities just to keep the door open. So this is something for the town to consider at some point. And I did want to speak very briefly. They don't have a program developed yet, but our neighbors, District of Lunenburg, again, received a similar proposal to what the town received and has done some interesting things around that. They've conducted a resident survey to determine the interest level in the program and whether county residents would want to support it. And they're working right now, or I think they're just wrapping up with the Dalhousie University Master of Administration students to research some program options and provide them with some recommendations for how to carry it out. So they're doing some active work around that, and they're hoping to have something more defined later this year. So those are PACE programs. PACE is kind of a new thing in Nova Scotia. It's the new kid on the block. Clearly quite a bit of interest in it because of the potential that it offers municipalities. Just to zoom out a little bit, I'm going to put two other programs on the table. The town of Truro, a few years ago, this is slightly older information, ran a program called Cool Truro. Again, population is slightly more than Bridgewater, but what they did is they actually hired a coordinator for a period of, I believe it was around 2 years or so, to run the sustainability awareness campaign. That included various topics. Energy was just one of them, transportation, recycling, water, household chemicals, etc. And ran a participation program that included doing energy contests, getting local businesses involved, and so on. And their program was open both to households and businesses. So it was a promotional program. It was about educating the community about sustainability issues, including energy. And they did receive a significant federal grant to assist with that program. I believe it was EcoAction. But there you go. There's a different kind of program, not based on a financing mechanism, but based on an awareness thing. And you know, their program was reasonably well received. Kind of along the same line, the District of Shelburne ran a program that I believe has just wrapped up around solar hot water education. So whereas Solar City is a financing program for solar hot water, this is an education program, and it was a collaborative partnership program to raise community awareness of the benefit of solar thermal energy, hired a part-time coordinator to manage among a number of partners, of which the municipality was one, and basically did a whole bunch of things in the community, including installed some high-profile solar energy systems at a few locations, including a church. The benefits was to the community in general, and this one I did find out that they did receive a $45,000 EcoAction federal grant, plus a number of partner in-kind donations. So that gives you just a sense of the kind of programs that have been actively pursued and are being actively pursued here in Nova Scotia. Of course, there are many other examples around Canada and the US. That's not the end of my presentation. I do have a few other slides here, if you don't mind. So a few questions for council to consider in doing this kind of work. One is, what is the role of the municipality? Well, a program like Cool Truro has effectively been replaced. The need for it has effectively been replaced by Efficiency Nova Scotia. It now offers broad education and awareness, grants, home assessments, basic installations, a lot of the kind of stuff that Cool Truro did, even zero interest financing so personal loans for certain upgrades. Again, what's different from those loans versus a PACE program is that it's tied to the homeowner, not the property. So just to keep emphasizing that. So Efficiency Nova Scotia has really come up and is doing quite a bit for homeowners and business owners around energy. Of course, there's always private industry. There's lots of energy auditors, energy firms, people selling heat pumps, and so on. They will always be necessary to do the work. However, one of the things that we are perceiving is, why does a program like Solar City generate so much more interest in something like that? Why don't those people just go to those solar installers and get the work done? Clearly, there is something that a municipal partner offers that private industry is not able to offer by itself. So this is so there may be some perceived barriers, there may be some lack of confidence, some cost barriers. It's not entirely clear to me. There's some research that's being done on that, but why is solar and other technologies not moving out there as fast as what it could? So this is an area where municipalities are trying to step in and help. Again, municipalities do have a distinctive role that others can't play. Obviously, we're the closest level of government to people in the community, the ability to engage the local community, the ability to build public confidence in sustainable energy solutions. The key, especially in PACE programs, is education and removing risk. So the municipality basically provides the role of a facilitator, saying, this is a good technology, we've really looked into it, here's a good program, we believe you can take part in it. The ability to develop a program that is tailored to local needs. Local needs may vary from community to community. Obviously, there's some variation because different municipalities are interested in pursuing different energy technologies and looking into them and making decisions based on that. And again, the only level of government that can offer PACE programs. Some questions that we believe requires further consideration include, who are the stakeholders? Who should such a program be designed for? Are we looking at homeowners? Are we looking at business owners? Are we looking at low-income families? Are we looking at anybody in the community in general? So there's an important question there around who would benefit. There's a very important question around what technology should the program consider. It's very easy to say, well, it should just do all of them. But guess what? That's an awful lot of work because they're all extremely different from each other, and they're very important practical considerations between the different technologies. So what kind of energy technologies are best suited to the community of Bridgewater or to those stakeholders that we might consider working with? There's a very important question around human resource capacity. Do we have the capacity to start a program like this? I do want to make it clear to Council that we don't offer something like this currently, and that any kind of program, unless it's very, very general or very, very light, should be considered in Council's eye an increase in service. If we don't have the capacity to provide such a program, what resources would be required? Could administration be shared with other partners and potentially other municipalities? So these are very real questions around how would